Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. In the previous video, I explained that the day of resurrection signifies the transformation of multiplicity into unity. For this reason, the earth and its mountains, as well as the barrier of Zulqarnain, are crushed and leveled. All human beings and other creatures also shift from a state of separation and individuality to a state of collectivity, merging together like interwoven waves. I'm Hassan Moradi, and in this video and the channel Echoes of the Qur'an, I will discuss the condition of the world and the human beings on the day of resurrection in greater detail. The Qur'an states that on the day of resurrection, the earth and the heavens will be transformed into something other than what they currently are, and they will become manifest before God, who is one and overwhelmingly dominate or subduer. يوم تبدل الأرض غير الأرض والسماوات وبرزوا لله الواحد القهار. Dominate or subduer. The Quran explains the result of something being transformed into other than itself through the expression becoming manifest before God. As discussed earlier, when the Quran says that God is the light of the heavens and the earth, or that everything in the heavens and the earth truly belong to Him, it means that a single, all-encompassing light is the creator and sustainer of all multiplicity we observe. Before the day of resurrection, the earth and the heavens conceal this inner unity and appear as independent entities. But on that day, before God, who appears with the attributes of oneness and overwhelming dominance, all these seemingly diverse multiplicities reveal their inner unity. Thus, becoming other than itself means losing one's apparent individuality and revealing the single overpowering light. God says that when the earth becomes manifest, He will set the mountains in motion and gather the entire world and all beings within it completely. يوم نسير الجبال وترى الأرض بارزة وحشرناهم فلم نغادر منهم أحدا. Al-Kahf 47. Does the movement of mountains on the day of resurrection means movement from one physical location to another? No. The Quran answer is no. It is a kind of movement unfamiliar to us. يوم تمور السماء مورا وتسير الجبال سيرا. At-Tur 9 and 10. If the earth transforms from concealing the one light to revealing it, then its mountains must undergo the same transformation. Thus, the movement of mountains is the transition from hidden unity to manifest unity. The Quran states that when the trumpet is blown, a person may look at mountains and assume they are solid and motionless, while in reality they move like clouds. This movement is the work of God, the one who makes everything strong and is fully aware of all actions. وترى الجبال تحسبها جامدة وهي تمر مر السحاب صنع الله الذي أتقن كل شيء إنه خبير بما تفعلون. An-Naml 88. From this verse we learn that the mountains have always been in motion, but we were unable to perceive it, just as atomic particles move constantly, though we cannot see them without special instruments. The interesting thing is that the Quran says that these moving mountains are the creation of God, who makes everything firm. That is, God has made the mountains that are essentially moving appear firm in our human minds. According to the Quran, human vision in worldly life is weak and cannot perceive the unity of existence. But when God removes the veil of heedlessness, human sight becomes sharp and capable of perceiving that unity. لقد كنت في غفلة من هذا وكشفنا عنك غطاءك فبصرك اليوم حديد. Qaf 22. The subtle point there is that the veil is attributed to human beings, your covering. This indicates such heedlessness is fundamental to worldly life, not a simple or accidental form of forgetfulness. In other words, the very structure of worldly existence is built upon a kind of forgetfulness of the one light of God. Becoming aware of this unity marks the end of worldly life and the beginning of the hereafter. The Quran also says that on the day when the great crashing occurs, human beings will be scattered like swarming moths, and mountains will become like fluffed or carded wool. يوم يكون الناس كالفراش المبثوث وتكون الجبال كالعهن المنفوش. Al-Qari 4 and 5. Thus, on the day of resurrection, when the outward forms of things disappear and their inner realities become manifested, we realize that mountains, which appeared solid and still, are in fact both moving and soft. The Quran goes even further and says that the mountains will move and become like a mirage. وَسُيِّرَتِ الْجِبَالُ فَكَانَتْ سَرَابًا. An-Naba 20. If mountains, the symbol of solidity and stability, become mobile, soft, and even mirage-like, then the entire earth and heavens undergo the same transformation. Just as mirage in this world is the reflection of sunlight on the earth, existential mirage means that perceiving oneself as an independent being is the result of the reflection of divine unity upon our weak and veiled perception. Throughout worldly life, God, the one light of the heavens and the earth, appears to us in the form of seemingly solid and stationary mountains and earth. But as we draw nearer to Him through our ascent and return, we realize that we and all beings are nothing but a mirage. Just as recognizing a mirage in this world directs our attention to the light of the sky, recognizing the mirage-like nature of beings in the hereafter directs our attention to one light. The Quran uses the expression becoming manifest before God for human beings as well. وَبَرَزُوا لِلَّهِ جَمِيعًا. Abraham 21. As a result of this manifestation, nothing about them is hidden from God. In this state, they are asked, to whom does sovereignty belong today? It seems they do not answer. Rather, God Himself responds to God, the one, the subduer. يوم هم بارزون لا يخفى على الله منهم شيء لمن الملك اليوم لله الواحد القهار. Al-Ghafir 16. This manifestation of human beings is the same as the manifestation of the earth and heavens. The apparent multiplicity of humans and the world dissolves, and the true unity of all things becomes evident. In earlier videos, I explained that by understanding the mind's ownership over the force it creates in imagination, we can grasp God's true ontological ownership over creation. This ontological ownership is fundamentally different from the conventional ownership found in human or animal societies. In ontological ownership, the entire inner and outer reality of the imagined being is present to the mind. If I create a human being in my imagination, nothing in their body or mind is hidden from me. Likewise, nothing in our bodies or minds is hidden from God. Thus, worldly life is characterized by heedlessness of God's unity and His true ontological ownership. The hereafter, by contrast, is characterized by awareness of this unity and ownership. The emphasis on God's attributes, one and subduer, in this verse reflects this reality. Just as we are one and overwhelmingly dominant over the beings we create in our imagination, God is one and overwhelmingly dominant over the entire universe and all beings within it. His dominance applies both to our essence and to our actions. We do not exist without Him, and we cannot act without His will. The sense of free will and therefore moral responsibility belongs only to worldly life. The evaluation of deeds and the giving of reward or punishment also belong to this worldly context. This reveals a profound truth that will be discussed in future videos. There is a significant difference between the minor resurrection and the major resurrection. Everything discussed so far pertains to the major resurrection, in which human perception becomes stronger enough to witness the mirage-like nature of all beings and actions. In the minor resurrection, such perception has not yet been attained, and a person still sees themselves and others independent beings. The Quran expresses this transition from multiplicity to unity in other ways as well. In video 11, I discussed the imagery of the heavens and earth opening and closing, the stretching and gathering of shadows, and the folding of the heavens like a scroll. Another expression is being gathered toward the day of resurrection. This indicates that just there is a descent and dispersion toward the night of worldly existence, the night of decree, there is an ascent and gathering toward the day of resurrection. Allahu la ilaha illa hu لَيَجْمَعَنَّكُمْ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ وَمَنْ أَصْدَقُ مِنَ اللَّهِ حَدِيثًا. An-Nisa 87. God, there is no deity but Him, will surely gather you to the day of resurrection. In another verse, the Quran says, to whom belongs whatever is in the heavens and the earth? Say to God, He has prescribed mercy upon Himself. In another verse, the Quran says, to whom belongs whatever is in the heavens and the earth? Say to God, He has prescribed mercy upon Himself. He will surely gather you to the day of resurrection, about which there is no doubt. Those who have lost themselves do not believe. قل لمن ما في السماوات والأرض قل لله كتب على نفسه الرحمة ليجمعنكم إلى يوم القيامة لا ريب فيه الذين خسروا أنفسهم فهم لا يؤمنون. Al-An'am 12. The first verse emphasized divine unity in essence. The second emphasized divine unity in true ontological ownership. The striking point in verse 12 of An-Naml is the emphasis on God's mercy. This means that God's ontological ownership is not like the ownership of a selfish or harsh king, but like the ownership of a loving parent toward a child. Thus, the gathering of creation toward the day of resurrection is not the summoning of subjects to a courtroom under the supervision of a strict judge. It is the return of a wayward child to loving parents after having lost the entrusted wealth. The phrase they have lost themselves, we understand that every human being arrives in this world with a form of wealth, the divine names and attributes that God taught to humanity and entrusted to them. علم آدم الأسماء كلها. الأمانة الإلهية. Throughout worldly life, a person was supposed to act according to the true structure of these names, not according to personal or collective illusions. But human beings fail to use this inner and certain criterion and know they return to their compassionate Creator in a state of loss. The Quran frequently uses the word hash gathering in relation to the day of resurrection. For example, it tells the disbelievers that they will be gathered toward God's creation, hell. It tells all human beings that they will be gathered toward their instructor, Rabb, or toward the most merciful, Ar-Rahman. But in most cases, it says they will be gathered toward Him, Ilayhi, toward God's Himself, Ilallah, or Ilayhi Tuhsharun. Al-An'am 72, Al-Baqarah 203. And to Him you will be gathered. If we understand that God's essence possesses a non-numerical real unity, then being gathered toward Him means ascending from the multiplicity of the worldly darkness toward the unity of divine light and becoming light. Another set of terms related to the resurrection comes from the roots sayr, meaning return or transformation. The Quran says that disbelievers return to hell while believers return to paradise. Other verses say that human beings and other creatures return to us, or God, or to Him, or to me. إليه المصير, إلينا المصير, إليه المصير. This diversity of expression reflects the different levels of return and transformation. Given the verses stating that God brings believers out of darkness into light and that God is the light of the heavens and the earth, we can say that believers ascending through degrees of light and themselves become light. This state is expressed through phrases such as returning to us, to paradise, to me, and to Him. إلينا راجعون, إليه راجعون, إليه راجعون. Disbelievers, by contrast, ascending through degrees of fire and become fire. In summary, the great day of resurrection is the day when all creatures undergo transformations, manifestation, movement, alternation, and mirage-like dissolution, returning to their Creator. This movement is ontological and epistemic, not temporal or spatial. Thus, a person may be physically alive and living among others on earth, yet may have fully or partially experienced this ascent, just as someone sleeping among others may see things that others do not see. Likewise, a spiritually mature human being may perceive realities that others cannot. Maybe through acquiring true knowledge and acting upon it comes to experience some degree of great resurrection. Thank you for being here.